This is Pastor Tim coming to you from Bend and Lomita United Methodist Churches in Central Texas, trying to serve faithfully the Methodist Church and be a witness to Jesus Christ. We are talking about the Bible. We're talking about the stories of the Bible, the themes of the Bible, the ways of interpreting the Bible so that you can have a door to get into the Scriptures so that you can better understand. We want to increase the Bible knowledge, not to argue interpretation, but just to increase the Bible knowledge so that people will know the stories, and the stories form the foundation of our faith. And so we are talking about Joseph. We had him thrown into the pit. His brothers took exception to him lording it over them, especially since he was the younger brother, and thrown him into slavery. And now he ends up in jail, but gets promoted because of his interpretation of dreams to be second in charge as Pharaoh. And so now his brothers have come back to him wanting to get food for their family. Only they don't know it's his brother. So Joseph makes conditions for them, begins to talk about what they have to do, that they have to go back and get their father to come. And to make sure they come back, he keeps one of the brothers in jail so that they have to come back for him. And they end up be in front of Joseph, and he finally confirms that he is their brother. He can't take it anymore. He has the perfect right to avenge. He has the power to exact revenge on his brothers for what they did. He can describe them as ruining his life and throwing him into slavery and unspeakable horrors that may have accosted him, that may have fell upon him. But he chooses instead to forgive. He says that I am your brother, and they say, well, you have revenge on us. What's going to happen to us? Are you going to have us killed? And he says, no, I'm not, because what you intended for evil, God used for good. And I think that's a very telling story, important theme of the Bible. Many times through the Scriptures, what was intended for evil, or what people did to one another, God could turn around and use for good. God can take some of the worst things that we do and find some good in them. I think that's a theme that needs to be in our lives, that even the worst situations, God can bring good for it. Paul says that all things work for good for those who love the Lord. That the idea is not that bad things don't happen, that we don't fall victim of natural disasters, of circumstances, that we aren't subject to what wrongs that other people do, what hurtful things they do, but that out of that good can come, and that God is the master of the universe, can bring good out of that, a good that's maybe even more than we could have imagined. Sometimes people go through hardships and then afterwards they try to get back to normal. Well, the thing to do is to figure out what you learned from that experience and to grow as a person, as a follower of Jesus Christ. That's the way you discover the good that God is going to bring. And many times it makes you stronger, it makes you smarter, it makes you better able to trust God. It does all sorts of good things for you. God didn't cause that to happen, just like God didn't cause Joseph to go into slavery. But God can use that slavery for God's own purpose. And so what they end up doing is he calls them into Egypt. He says, I have power here. We'll give you some land and we'll give you a place to live, a section of Egypt, and you can be and exist here in security. And they do for a while. But what we're going to discover is that people forget. One of the stories of history is that we don't remember what we've experienced. We don't remember what the past has brought, and so we're doomed to repeat it. A lot of the things that we happen today are the same things that happened 100, 200, 300, 400 years ago, and we just don't even recognize it because we're blind to history. But the history will change, the circumstance will change. They will no longer be the accepted relatives of somebody in power, but all that will go away, and the new Pharaoh will be there. Then, in fact, Egypt was conquered by another people, and so the entire house of the Pharaoh was gone, and so they had another Pharaoh who was of another nation. That changes everything. And over a period of several hundred years, the nation of Israel will grow, the people of Israel will grow, but they will have hard times once again. And that seems to be a continuing story of the Bible, of people getting in problems and God rescues them. God is our rescuer, our life giver, our light giver. So I think that's important to remember. Okay, I'll see you and find out what happens with young Moses in the next one.